I lost like 65 pounds doing keto, and then I did carnivore. But the interesting thing is the difference that happened from when I went from keto to carnivore was I just muscled up. To me, the meat and fruit diet seems to work great, right? Like it helps keep your calories down because fruit just doesn't have, that many calories. He has these little genius quotes for everything. He says, vegetables are just a vehicle for more fat to get into your body. His argument is that there's so much sugar in fruit that our bodies really can't handle it. I've been always trying to figure out what diet can I eat all the food I want, as much as I want, have a great time and still lose weight, and the answer is none. There has to be a little bit of suffering involved. See how wide my belly button still is? You see that? That's like a badge of courage, though. Like the wide belly button's like, yep, this guy used to be fat. Things that I do in the gym that nobody else knows about. Like I have personal vendettas against a lot of people. Smelly sometimes, he'll be like just, lifting and nobody will be paying attention or whatever. And then somebody will do some big lift, right? And everyone's like, yeah. And then like out of nowhere, Smelly will come and like just destroy that lift.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, he gets like every once in a while you see the elbow sleeves go on. You're like, oh no,
somebody's going to get about to happen.
Yeah.
Fighting out of Sacramento, California.
Woo! What you gonna do?
Better. Stronger.
Son of a bitch.
Faster.
Oh yeah!
So my eldest son clearly has his mother's mind, a little slower, a little more methodical, incredible memory, slow as shit, hates multitasking, bad at video games if they're like shooter, move fast video games. My youngest son is like me, very we're faster, right? Our brains work faster, always thinking about a million things at once. But if you lock us into something, laser, but it takes, and I don't know about you, but for me, shit memory. And I'm just watching him just get tossed by the waves at the 4th grade, man. Just getting tossed by the waves. And I was like, okay, well, it's a good thing I gave up video games because from 3 to 6 every night is going to be to help him get through his homework, which his brother would have gotten done in 45 minutes. But I love him, and I had this really cool moment. I was like, we're going to fucking redefine what it means to be a Pierce. I've been saying Team Pierce to these kids their entire life. And I tell you, dude, before me, not the best track record with this name. But we're changing that. We're changing that.
That's a great way to look at it. So, like, you look at, like, some of the people in your family, like, in your ancestry, and you're like, these people didn't make the best decisions. These people didn't maybe treat their kids the best, maybe didn't provide this or that, or didn't. But I'm changing that. Like, my goal's like, I want you kids to you want to be the first generation of change, and then every kid after that changes for the better, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think, like, if you look at our family and look what Mark did to our entire family, it's crazy. So because of Mark, our whole family's like inspired to work out and lift, like our extended family. When we went to New Jersey, these used to be all the people we used to make fun of for being so fat. Like, like in the family, there'd be like a lot of jokes being thrown around our family, right?
Sure.
But now everybody's into fitness, everybody's doing it. And so, like, you know what happens when everybody's doing it? No one makes fun of you. Like, if you're trying, so that's like the other thing too, is like, if you're trying, like, I feel like when we talk about people and talk about things, and I don't know if you think of yourself in this way, but the way I think of you is like, well, you're always trying, so I don't count you in the group of like unhealthy people, because you're always trying every single day.
Right.
You're trying. I know you're always constantly trying.
And I'm trending up. I'm not trending down.
Yeah.
So that trend, I think, plays a really big distinction in that conversation. And
I think that people, when people think of people that are overweight or obese or whatever, they shouldn't just lump them in with all the other, like, because if you're trying, you definitely get an asterisk next to your name saying, like, this guy's making a valiant effort to do something.
Fat and complacence way different than fat and on some journey, however difficult it is to do something about it.
Well, look, we all have problems, right? Like, some people have mental issues, right? And if they're not going to therapy to work on it, they're in the same kind of boat, right? So it's like, if I feel like if you're a work in progress, and you're very aware of yourself also, like you specifically. You're very aware of things. So like just being woke to the idea of being in shape is a really good idea. Like being, you know, having that awakening where you were like, oh my God, what have I been doing to myself?
Right.
You know, like I got to a point when I got out of rehab thinking like, I thought I knew stuff about training and nutrition and whatever. And when I got out of rehab, I realized like, I don't really know anything yet. You know, and I just dove into learning, and every single day was just about learning. And then moving forward, when I got into like the keto diet and back into keto, I wanted to learn everything there was to learn about it. So I did it to the extremes. You know, I tested my blood ketones 3 times a day. I lost like 65 pounds doing keto, and then I did carnivore. But the interesting thing is the difference that happened from when I went from keto to carnivore was I just muscled up. Like as soon as I went over to carnivore, my sort of skinny fat look that I had going on just turned all into muscle, which was actually really interesting.
Can I share a theory I have with you? I know I've lost some weight and I've built up some strength, but I also am wondering the fact that I finally started prioritizing protein in my diet. Maybe I'm finally like eating enough protein for my soft tissue and my tendons and stuff like that to deal with what I was trying to put it under, because that's the biggest thing of like this last 9 months of really just trying, you know, hitting over 200 grams of protein every day has been, it could all just be coincidence that these things are happening at the same time, but I'm not dealing with the joint pain that I was dealing with 6 months ago.
It's really interesting because if you have somebody who's really overweight and you say, hey, look, if you just ate chicken, you know, chicken breast for 6 months, like you'd lose a ton of weight, right?
Sure.
And you can eat kind of as much of it as you want almost.
Sure.
The problem is our compliance with protein.
Right.
Our compliance isn't that great with protein. I think like a lot of people really love meat, but there's a certain point of meat every single day, and I think it's around 2 pounds that like you just can't go, like even if you're on a carnivore diet, like it's hard to just be that attracted to meat to keep eating it, and that's why I think like adding the fruit in was a good idea, you know, for me. That sort of takes away, if it's just meat and fruit, I can stick to the diet so religiously. My biggest problem, but I don't think dairy's bad, my biggest problem is dairy. That's where I overeat my calories. I think dairy's great if people can use it responsibly, but I've been finding myself not being able to really use it responsibly, and then my calories just get too high.
I've really, since I've also started having that cup of rice at night with it, I've cut dairy out, and it's been helpful for me because I just go into complete denial when it's time to grab some shredded cheese. I just completely lie to myself and say that, oh, this is a reasonable amount, and grab a cup of shredded cheese and put it on whatever it is, whether it's eggs or ground beef or anything. So I've just had to say, you know what? I don't miss the dairy that much. I put a little bit of sugar, no sugar, Heinz ketchup on my rice and ground beef, throw in a can of mushrooms. And honestly, dude, that's what I've been eating like 4 out of 5 nights, or 5 out of 7 nights a week right now.
I really don't think you can beat rice, ground beef. So I use Piedmontese ground beef, grass finish ground beef with, and they have this delicious new grass finished ground beef that's a little higher in fat than the normal one. I think it's like 85% one of grass finished. And it is so good with like just some rice and some of that G. Hughes, like teriyaki or any of the G. Hughes, like low calorie, sugar free sauces, which only add a couple calories. So I used to like, whenever I used to eat rice, I always used to put butter on it. Like I used to think I needed butter, but instead of butter, now I just use this G. Hughes sauce, which has like 5 calories a serving, and probably using 2 or 3 servings on it. But it's like what, 15 more calories rather than adding in, you know, a scoop of butter, which is probably, you know, 100 to 200 calories.
Tablespoon of mayonnaise, 100 calories.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Well, you know what I think every time, like I think this is a great thing. So people talk about like putting your mind in the muscle, like envisioning your mind in your muscle when you're lifting, and that'll help you to like lift more weight and get stronger. But think of this. We know from Lane Norton that most of the fat that we store is actually fat that we've eaten, like that we've consumed, right? So We eat it, our calories are too high, we end up storing it. And it's easier to store fat as fat than it is to store carbs as fat. So every time I have that like scoop of butter, I think like, oh man, if I go too high, this is going to go right into my fat cells.
Spreading it on. Yeah.
That's kind of the way I think of it. And I think if you put things in your head that way, it helps you avoid some of these pitfalls. Because now I think like when I have a scoop of fat, I used to just, throw in more fat into the coffee, throw more fat into whatever it was.
Right.
And now I think about it and go, you know what? That's not a great choice for me.
Right.
Like the other day I had a choice to buy milk. I was going to buy raw milk or I was going to buy the A2 milk, which was like lower in fat. And I just decided to go with the lower fat one. Because like that, I'm like, you know what? This other fat, like I just don't really need it right now. So I think like putting that in your mindset of like, hey, eating a lot of fat's going to make me fat. Now we all need fat, right? So we look at, I was watching this video the other day and it was just like really, really surprising to me. It was with Dr. Berg, Dr. Eric Berg.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of his stuff.
Mark and I added in fruit and we started doing like the meat and fruit diet.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, the meat and fruit diet seems to work great, right? Like it helps keep your calories down because fruit just doesn't have, that many calories. And Mark always says this, and I always remember, he has these little genius quotes for everything. He says, vegetables are just a vehicle for more fat to get into your body.
Absolutely.
So they're a vehicle for you to put butter on, for you to put oil on, for you to cook in oil, just for you to get more calories in. And he's like, I don't think vegetables are that great because they start out low calorie and then they go up high calorie. So you could take a bowl of lettuce with 15 calories in it and you can add 400 calories of dressing in 2 seconds.
Immediately.
And then, now your calories are out of control, right? Yeah. So Dr. Berg recently made this video called like, you may never eat fruit again after watching this. And I just thought the video was like ridiculous because his argument is that there's so much sugar in fruit that our bodies really can't handle it.
Oh.
But I think what people get confused with is the word fructose, right? Fructose is a sugar, and you can only eat a certain amount of fructose before your body starts shoving things into fat cells. And that number is around 50 grams. And in order for you to get like 50 grams of fructose, I think we talked about this before, that's about 10 bananas. It's a lot of fruit to eat before you go over this limit. The number of fructose grams in each piece of fruit is going to be very low. Like bananas are on the high side and they're 5. So,
okay.
How much does each grape have? Like less than, it's like a lot, way less, So like you could probably eat 10 grapes before you get 1 gram of fructose or something like that, So you can eat a lot of fruit and not crank up your fructose levels. However, if you're eating fruit and you're also eating Skittles in your diet, those Skittles are going to count towards the fructose, right? So all 50 grams of carbs in the Skittles that you ate, that's going to be all fructose. Then when you eat the banana, now you're over. So in some respects, he's correct. If you're eating some sort of mixed diet, adding in fruit will actually help you lose weight, though, because adding in fruit usually pushes the other foods out. I don't know. I still really do love the carnivore diet. Like Sean Baker is my favorite guy to watch every day still because he still fascinates me. Yeah. It's still fascinating that he's like just on that carnivore diet and he's done so well. And honestly, like I have periods of time where like, I'm like, you know what? I should just go back on carnivore. I actually had that thought like yesterday. And right now, Mark challenged me to lose 10 pounds this month, to try to drop an extra 10 pounds, which is a lot to drop in a month, and it's hard, but he wanted to like give me something challenging, like get out there and walk more, run, run if you have to, do whatever you got to do, but like, let's get down 10 pounds. And so I'm trying really hard to get there. And what's so funny is I'm trying to decide to do with my diet. The one thing I know that I don't want to do is track calories. That's like number one. It's like, I don't want, not that that's wrong. That's the only way to really specifically lose weight and know how much weight you're going to lose and everything is to track the calories. I just really don't enjoy that at all. I'd rather fast all day and then maybe just eat one meal at night or something like another intervention other than tracking calories. For some reason, it's a weird thing with me. I just really don't like doing it. But I do agree that it definitely works. It's definitely going to be the thing that gets you to where you want to go. However, I just like doing this by how I feel. And so my diet moving forward, I was trying to debate whether or not I should eat like all meat, you know, steak, 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 or if I should eat like steak and rice, because the steaks that I eat have hardly any fat in them. So I have a resource that not a lot of other people have access to, or everybody has access to Piedmontese beef, but not everybody has access to it like I do. So I have a freezer full of Piedmontese beef. Some of the steaks that I have 0 grams of fat in them. So if you have a steak with 0 grams of fat and you eat it with some rice, that's a perfect little meal, you know?
Yeah.
Because you're going to get fat throughout the day. People are like, oh, you ought to have fat somewhere. And it's like, yeah, well, you'll get fat in through the day. Trust me. Like, it's not going to, you're not going to have a no fat day. There's no way.
Right.
You know? And so, and you know, that's how all the bodybuilders eat, like really low fat. Like bodybuilders, if you really look at bodybuilders, like during a show, what's the one real thing that you have to do in bodybuilding is keep your fat grams under like 60 grams. And if you can keep your fat grams under like 60 for the entire day, you're going to get real lean.
And that doesn't have any like adverse effects on your cholesterol or anything like that going that lean?
That's about the point that the body needs. You know, people are going to be different, varying in weights and different things like that. But for the most part, if you stay under like 60 grams of fat, I think that's where most bodybuilders sort of park it for their show prep. You know, if we were to like, you know, it would be really cool to look at would be like a meta-analysis of like bodybuilding diets and see how much like fat people are taking in and stuff like that. It'd be interesting because I think for the most part, people just try to keep that really low. And if you keep that really low, it's amazing how lean you get. So like, I think like a year ago, Mark had like a challenge for us to do like a photo shoot or something. And I just went on a diet where I was just eating like Piedmontese and rice. And I did that diet for like a month. And to be honest, like I probably felt better at that time than I felt on any other diet. And it was just like rice and beef, you know? And then I would have a little bit of fruit here and there also on that diet because the fat's really low. So like the advantage of eating some carbs is that you get to have some fun things. Like you can have ground beef and rice is amazing. You know, you can get the cheapest ground beef, the cheapest rice, and it will just taste amazing together.
It's literally almost every single dinner I have is ground beef and rice.
Yeah.
The trick is for me just to be very mindful, very intentional, and don't lie to myself when it's time to cook the rice, and don't double or triple up how much rice I'm putting into the
So
meal.
you know what I like to do? This is my trick. Double the meat, half the rice, right? So you like, so I have this, I use these packages. They're like, it's 1.5 cups of cooked rice, I believe.
Okay.
Whatever, it's 90 grams of carbs in each pack. So I just dump one of those in a bowl, and then I use like a pound of beef with that. So the beef is way more plentiful than the rice is. Like you have way more beef in it than rice. So it's like beef with rice kind of interspersed in it.
You know, this is kind of something I'm really realizing with you and Mark, which I think is the magic of your fitness approach. You don't make any diet your deity. You know what I mean? You will sort of you always keep in mind, if anything, beyond the through line is valuing protein.
Yeah.
And then after that, you know, once you protein leverage, after that, you just you adjust accordingly, and you guys sort of hop from one to another. Kind of keeps your mind fresh. It kind of gives you purpose. You don't seem to ever get too bogged down by the monotony of it all, and it works for you guys. It absolutely works for you guys. And I guess it kind of makes the point: no one diet is going to save you either. You have to, you know, just have a healthy mindset and some healthy principles along
the other thing
way.
I've also realized, and this is probably very important for people to realize, because I've been always trying to figure out what diet can I eat all the food I want, as much as I want, have a great time and still lose weight, and the answer is none. There just isn't one. You know, so there has to be a little bit of suffering involved. So, and it doesn't have to feel like suffering, but if you're going to eat, you know, if you're going to eat certain ways, like what I like to do is I like to fast through a lot of the morning, because that just gets rid of hours of time where I could possibly be eating, and I will eat if I have the opportunity, you know? And so I do like a lot of, like usually every other day, I'll usually fast through breakfast and even through lunch. And pretty much I would say probably I'm on an intermittent fasting schedule where I'll eat all day, and then the next day I'll eat just dinner. you know, or just dinner. And like, I usually have a double dinner. I can't say dinner, but like around 6 o'clock I'll eat, and then around 8 o'clock I'll eat again. Something like that, you know, and then I'll go to bed.
Dinner and supper.
Yeah, kind of like that.
Yeah.
Because usually one meal just doesn't cut it. It's not the amount of food. It's just the fact that I only ate once. I'm like, you know, I get these weird things. But you're right about the fact that we don't pick any specific diet to really focus on. However, I find that as a problem sometimes too when I'm trying to do things like this. Like, I'm just trying to drop weight. Should I just do carnivore for a week, or should I? You know, it's like,
hey, I'm gonna have to stroke you off here a little bit. I'm sitting here literally looking at how fucking big your arms are looking right now. You're looking cut, man. You've made a lot of progress. I see. I mean, I haven't seen you this leaned out I don't think in the last year.
Well, that's good. For some damn reason, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this. Going in, if you pull up my Instagram and look at the, if you look at my my main picture there, that it was like when I don't know if you can see it that good though because they're small, but that's when I was at my leanest, you know, and it was like, then see that picture, the profile picture up there?
Right here.
Yeah, you can't really see it that great.
Yeah, we could do something here. I can make magic happen.
Oh, there we go. So in that picture, I'm about 195 pounds, right? That's what that's exactly what I weigh right now. The only thing that I didn't get rid of is, see how wide my belly button still is? You see that? That's like a badge of courage, though. Like the wide belly button's like, yep, this guy used to be fat.
You don't even know how much I worry about loose skin. I don't talk about it because it'll be the byproduct of something bigger, but it's constantly in my thoughts whenever, you know, I mean, like, as I'm losing some weight now, like my belly is just falling.
So you look worse when you start losing weight a lot, right? Like you're not, like, sometimes the fullness of your fat makes you look like pretty solid.
Yeah.
And then you start and then you got this big jiggly belly.
Yeah.
And you're like, what happened to me? Like, I used to be in pretty good shape.
That's funny.
I used to be in good shape when I was fat.
I used to be a good-looking fat guy.
Yeah.
Hey, there is some men and women out there that wear it like a badge of honor and say, hey, this is my journey. This is where I'm at. They're happy being healthy and lean, and some loose skin is sometimes a byproduct of it.
Yeah, you know, I have no problem with people that, like, you know, like, for example, Hottie wears it as a badge of honor, kind of, in a way, you know, and he's debating whether or not he should get the skin removed. And I said, it depends on how that makes you feel, you know, like, I think if you could afford it, you probably should. I think you'll feel a lot better about yourself. And it's like, it's almost like, to me, that's like driving the nail in the coffin at the end. But I also said to him, make sure you're down there long enough to like know that you're going to stay down there. Because the last thing you'd want to do is do that and then get bigger again, you know? But yeah, for certain people, my friend Jordan, he got it done. He was a kid at Gold's Gym that lost over 200 pounds. And he won a bodybuilding show they have like a bodybuilding show for, do you know the Fit Boss?
Yeah, Fit Boss, that's what it is.
Yeah, Fit Boss.
Yep,
So the Fit Boss is my friend Jordan. So he used to be over 400 pounds, and then he got really lean. But honestly, this kid is great.
Look at this guy, Chris.
You know what?
He is what I hoped for.
You know what's really interesting about Jordan is he's been through it, man. He goes up and down.
What a fucking legend.
He's always very nervous about, like, the way he looks and the way he's the nicest. He's a sweet kid is, like, the best way to put it. He's such a good soul, like, such a good, nice person. And you can tell that he's had a lot of abuse thrown his way as far as, like, being overweight and everything. He's very, like self-conscious about everything. But to be honest, he was one of my drivers. Like, when I worked out at Gold's Gym, I had to be able to destroy him in powerlifting because I didn't want to get beat, because he was getting pretty strong. Right. And as he would get stronger, I would be like, fuck, I got to beat him by like 100 pounds. Like, there's no way I'm letting him catch up, you know? And I don't even think he knows this, but I had this like personal battle with him just to stay a certain amount above him. So I could be, you know, I got to stay this strong, because I can't let Jordan catch up.
That's great.
You know? And I think a little while he did kind of catch up a little bit on some things. Like he started deadlifting a lot and things like that. But when we were doing the trap bar deadlifts, and I saw him do like 500 for a single, so I worked on doing 500 for 10 because like I had to, and I had like the.
That's great.
But it's weird because I have all these ego-driven things that I do in the gym that nobody else knows about. Like I have personal vendettas against a lot of people, and
that's great.
And just so you know, Smelly does too sometimes. So Smelly sometimes he'll be like just lifting and nobody will be paying attention or whatever, and then somebody will do some big lift, right? And everyone's like, yeah, and then like out of nowhere, Smelly will come and like just destroy that lift.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, he gets like every once in a while you see the elbow sleeves go on. You're like, oh no,
somebody's gonna get about to happen.
Yeah,
here.
somebody's gonna get smoked here.
Yeah, that's
because
great.
The one thing that Smelly has always been awesome at is the bench press.
Yeah.
And I think it's funny because like he hasn't put any time or effort or training into the bench press, but I would venture to say that if there's something else he does after he runs like a marathon, that it'll be like another 500-pound bench press attempt or something. He's never gotten 600 pounds. That was his big goal. But what he realized is like to do 600 pounds, it's going to take a lot of secrets,
Yeah.
It's going to take a lot of stuff to do that.
Yeah.
And he never quite got there. But I think he was strong enough to bench press 600 when he did 854. So when he benched 854 with a bench shirt, let's see if we can see that. Let's see if we can pull that up. Mark Bell. I think it was 854, 859. When he did that with a bench shirt, I think he probably could have smashed 600 at that point, but he had never tried it because he was just competing with a shirt. 854 bench at 275. It's my baby brother. There's my mom. See that? Rosie got in there. Look at Rosie. She's there. She's waiting. She wants to see it. This guy spotting is Big Roy.
I fucking love your brother. He is so sweet to me.
Big Roy bench 900. You guys spotting him. I got a story about him when we get done. So let's see how long this takes. This is probably like... Oh, yeah, touch. Yep. Look how long that takes. Get knocked out. Missed. Knocked out. Yep, take it. That's insane. Isn't that crazy? Like, it was so hard for him to even, like, touch it to his chest.
Because he's having to be in every piece of that. He's got to be in complete control of, right?
This is my first super training shirt design right here. I got 99 problems, but my bench ain't one. I called Mark and I said that one day, and the next thing I know, there was a T-shirt out.
Oh, that's great.
It was before, like, there's
funny.
been some cheap brands that
That's
stole
funny.
it.
That's
I think,
funny.
like, Abercrombie made one.
Really?
But it was, like, off of, like, we made it first.
Right.
We were, like, made it year.
Like the hip band, right?
Yeah.
Like the hip band? Like, weren't you guys, wasn't Mark one of his hip band?
Oh, the Hip Circle is the
Hip
original booty band. Yeah.
Yes, and everyone's
So
done.
if you want to thank somebody for all the asses on Instagram, you can thank
you,
Mark.
Thank you.
Yeah, he doesn't get enough credit for that.
I'll tell you, I'm a fan.
He'd be like in the Hall of Fame for that or something.
Yes, he really should.
A lot of people give all the credit to Brent Contreras, who also has done a great job of getting booties bigger. Brent Contreras is a former power lifter who invented, the hip thrust.
Oh, wow.
The
Yes.
vagina smashing thing.
I'll tell you, it changed my life the first time I saw a hip thrust done correctly.
Yeah.
It really did.
It's hard to not watch it go on.
I was talking to my son today, and this poor woman was walking with a very severe limp. And I told my son, you take a look, but you got to take a quick picture in your mind, look away, and then, because we felt some passion for her. I even said my car was full. I'm taking my kids to school, and I was like, man, part of me wishes I could just pull over and give this lady a ride to wherever she's going, because you could tell she was in trouble. And I was trying to tell my son, you can't get caught staring, because people are gonna, it's gonna hurt people's feelings. So back to the hip thrusting.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't
What do
get
you
caught.
think about this new phenomenon of people filming in gyms and then capturing someone looking at it and then going online to try to make them look,
I think that's awful, and that's so narcissistic. Like, oh, checking it. He was checking it.
Mhm.
One of the best things I've ever seen at the gym, ever, in my entire life, was okay, I wouldn't even call him my friend. He's a guy that I know. He's in Bigger, Stronger, Faster. You know, when I say, hey, look, they took down Arnold's posters. And he's like, that guy's a fraud, man. You know, I don't know if you remember that guy. He's like at the end, and he's like flexing his abs in the mirror, but he's got no real like physique or anything.
That's hilarious.
So this guy, he also had really short arms, so we used to call him T-Rex.
I love
And
this
so,
guy.
so T-Rex is at the gym, right? And he's walking through the gym, and there's a girl doing squats on the Smith machine. And he looks over and he goes, looking good.
Oh.
And she turns around and looks at him, and she goes, excuse me? And he goes, I was talking about myself, because he was looking in the mirror.
Right.
I was like, that was fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
Like, how brilliant was that?
Yeah.
I was talking to myself.
I mean, I'll tell you the thing about where, I mean, listen, I'm not trying to say that excessive ogling is a good thing, but we are in this phenomenon where the whole fashion design in my lifetime has never been more driven than to accentuate the natural beauty of a fit woman. And yet, I mean, it's on a scale that we've never even come close to. And yet, and then also there's this undernote, and you and us as males are supposed to pretend it's invisible and doesn't even exist. It's confusing.
You know what? I don't understand. It's a weird thing. Why and how, right? Yeah, is staring bad?
I can get why staring is bad, but like everything now.
No,
we
I know,
take
but
any
it's such a negative thing. Like, you're like, oh, a guy was staring at that girl. Like, she was hot.
You know, and this isn't just even women. There's this guy that I got off TikTok altogether, but I block every third account I come across on TikTok because there's just so much built on shaming. But there was this guy, he was some calisthenics maniac. He could do the coolest shit on a barbell. I think he even got featured with ESPN, and he loved to zoom in on dudes watching him do some cool shit in the gym and sort of like embarrass them for just being impressed with this cool shit that he could do. I do not understand this.
That's a weird phenomenon. But it is interesting, like why staring is bad. But then if you put it on Instagram, you could stare at it all day because you're in the privacy of your own home.
That's literally what it's built for.
It's built for staring. Yes. Like it's built for staring
and hoped for. No one puts stuff on Instagram to not get likes and views.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's really confusing.
Unless you're in a race for 0 followers like Mark.
Yes.
And then you put the worst things you could possibly think of on there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, you know, we're in this 10-pound challenge, 10 pounds down challenge. If anybody out there wants to follow along, it's nothing that's set in stone. It's just we throw out these little challenges now and then. So I am going to try to drop 10 pounds, and you guys can hold me to it. That's why I'm saying it on here. Mm-hmm. In about the next month. But what I'm really trying to do, and we'll put more of this on the next podcast, maybe I'll actually issue like a real challenge on the next podcast, is I turn 50 November 3rd, 2022. That's what year it is, right? Mm-hmm. So I turned 50 on November 3rd, 2022, and I'm trying to get in the best shape of my life. And I think it'd be great if we did like a little sort of, challenge to get there and have a bunch of people follow along. So I will let you guys know what we're going to do. I'll probably get my brother involved in that, probably get Mark to help me lean down, and we'll see where we get.
When is this month?
Well, I turned 50 in November. So this is sort of a warm-up month, like this month of like trying to
right.
It's sort of a warm-up.
Right.
And then we're switching into high gear next month.
Perfect.
Because we have 2 months, right?
Got October coming first, yeah?
Yeah.
September, October, November. Yeah.
Well, September. Yeah, actually, that'll be like the October will be like the 1 month of hardcore. So October will be hardcore. Be like sober October.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of. That's where I was kind of going.
Maybe I should do sober October because I have not like been away from weed in forever. You know, maybe I should just
taken a break from weed in 4 years.
Will you do it with me?
Yeah.
Because I actually want to take a break from weed.
I'm a little concerned because it is a legit anxiety relief for me. So we'll have to really kind of talk about it and see like what do I put in place, because it really has. I know it sounds silly, but it is recreational 100%, but it's also medicinal for me.
Yeah.
So we'll have to think maybe there's some natural other herbs or something that are psychoactive or something
Well,
like that.
we'll have the new Kratom, the new Mind Bullet tablets out by then, and those are the Sleep Bullet.
Yeah.
So we have a new product coming out called Sleep Bullet,
Uh-huh.
which actually helps to calm you a lot. So there's more of the alkaloid in the Bali, the red Bali kratom,
Uh-huh.
and that's what we're putting out. So we're putting out a Mind Bullet product called Sleep Bullet, which will have more of the calming.
You know, maybe it
alkaloid
could be
in
a
it.
really good like this month. I was very disciplined about my cardio for anxiety relief instead.
Yeah, it's just
and,
one. Yeah, find one thing.
and then we just all pray for my kids. We just all pray for my
Yeah,
kids.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it could also be a thing like use it for like do you use it at a certain time of day or do you use it?
I take a tiny dose in the morning and then a not tiny dose at night after everyone goes to bed.
Yeah.
So maybe I try CBD. I don't know. Maybe again, maybe I just grab my balls and
I
make
don't know.
an executive decision.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like it's up to you.
Yeah.
You know, the reason why for me is I feel that like I feel like you should take breaks with anything.
Yeah.
I just haven't taken a break from that in a while.
Yeah.
And I only smoke vape pens. Like that's all I use. I don't go any harder than that.
Right.
And I do some edibles, but I don't like edibles anymore.
Yeah.
They're too like you're too locked in.
Yeah.
You know, you're locked in. Like edibles are for when you're done with the day, maybe. Like it's okay then. But you know what? You don't sleep good with edibles.
Right.
So a lot of people don't understand that. It's like, oh, I take weed for sleep, and it's like, no, you don't. You don't actually dream even when you take
weed
edibles.
to calm down, but it doesn't help you sleep.
Yeah, did you know you don't dream on THC?
Yeah. I mean, I've lived it. I can experience it. Yeah, absolutely.
And I think so. Here's the other thing for me, and we're gonna find this out in October. Is that when I don't smoke weed at night and I dream, I become so creative. You know? And thinking about my career and like what I've been doing is like I haven't been nearly as creative. And people say they smoke weed to be creative.
You
I
know,
think my creativity used to come from my crazy dreaming mind.
maybe we need to like be intentional to put like a dream log next to us and just see like, you know, what is our subconscious bubble to the surface.
Yeah.
If we're not.
I mean, my dreams are wild and they're vivid and I remember them.
Same.
Like I'll remember like everything that happened and be able to tell you it. You'll be like, that's crazy. But I don't remember like more than 2 hours after I woke up.
All my dreams are almost always just nightmares about me like doing something negligent with
Have
my
you ever
kids.
had a nightmare that you remember? Like to this day?
I remember a lot of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a nightmare. It was the craziest nightmare I ever had. I had it when I was drunk and I was at USC and I was in film school and I woke up in the morning and I went to the bathroom and I had a Tasmanian devil tattooed on my face in a Pittsburgh Steelers uniform.
Oh, wow.
And it was so real. It was so vivid. It was so like, what did I do? You know? And then I woke up and I was like, I ran to the bathroom to check if I had the Tasmanian devil tattooed on my face. And thank God I didn't. But that was like, what a weird dream.
Yeah.
First of all, Tasmanian devil's like the cheesiest tattoo ever. Then why did it have a Pittsburgh Steelers jersey on it? And why was it on my face? I have no idea.
Hey, speaking of, get a tattoo at 50? What do you think?
You want me to get a tattoo at 50?
What do you think? I've been needing a reason to get a tattoo.
You know what? I can get a tattoo at 50, but there's always one tattoo that I've always wanted.
What is it?
So, okay, pull it up. Pull up Rocky 4.
Okay.
Go to images. That picture right there with the flag. So go down. No, the second one. Okay, so that one right there. Boom. That. I'd get that on my shoulder.
Wow, this is pretty cool. This is pretty cool.
Wouldn't that be like one of the sickest things on your shoulder?
Wow. It works for you,
Like,
dude.
look right here.
It works for you.
Like
your,
all, like,
your
but
love, your
like take
love
up,
for it.
like take
Yeah.
up the whole thing. So like the flag comes like over and down. You know what I mean? Like it's like the whole. It's not like a little tiny version. It's like it takes up your whole shoulder and tricep and everything.
Wow, that's really cool.
What do you think?
I think it's dope. Yeah, I mean,
Maybe if I can hit a certain.
I thought my brother was a Rocky fan until I met you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Really?
Like Matthew loves Rocky B for all the same reasons you do. by the way, for all the same reasons you do. But your passion for this storyline, the first three,
I
four
watched
movies,
it like 400 times.
Yeah.
And Rocky 4, we watched about 400 times when we were in high school because we used to watch it every day before we'd lift. You know, we'd put it on.
That's so cool.
We would put it on so much, and we would just watch. Sometimes we just watch parts of it.
Yeah.
Sometimes we would watch it like all the way through. You know what I've been meaning to watch? I was this close to renting it yesterday. Is Cobra.
Oh fuck, Cobra's so badass.
I know. I need to see it again, but it's not on any streaming service. You have to pay for it. And I'm like, am I really going to rent Cobra?
I could see myself
And then if I'm
buying
going
that
to
on
rent Cobra, I need to buy it.
Yeah.
I need to buy it. Like,
Yeah.
I need to have it. So
that discipline just to cut off one piece, half of slice of pizza. Do you know how many times I thought, if I could just eat half of a slice of pizza like Cobretti, or what was his name in that movie?
Marion Cobranetti.
Cobranetti. I love it, dude. That's great. That's a great flick, dude. That's
What a great like they really had to name him Cobranetti in order for him to be like he could have just had a nickname Cobra.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
He could have been anybody.
Yeah, but why would it's such an interesting plot point, his name. That's so great.
You know what? We got to watch it.
We gotta watch it.
That's it. Watch it. Viewing party.
I absolutely.
Cobra viewing party. Did you see the post, by the way? And everybody needs to know this. It's on here. The post that I put up with Kyle Dunnigan's podcast.
Oh, it's funny.
Okay,
that
so
was funny.
So, and this is I'm being dead serious about this. I think Kyle Dunnigan might be one of the most creative people like on the planet with the stuff that he does on his social media. So if you're not following Kyle Dunnigan's podcast, please do. We'll give you a little clip on the way out here. Oh, will it play?
Yeah, I just.
A documentary. It's a serious documentary. All
It's very
by
like South Park,
himself.
you know?
Okay,
The
no
way that he does his
producers.
stuff.
I
Single
consulted
Stallone?
no one. And here's a clip. Here's the intro.
September 11, 2001. The sun was shining. People were hustling and also
People were hustling
bustling.
and also bustling.
They had no idea that September 11th would be the day they got 9/11. The day we got 9/11. AMH
My captions are a
American
little off
Flight
there.
11 entered New York City airspace. And 9/11 the first tower. But moments later, like an hour. the
Moments later,
second
like an hour
tower
later.
was Also 9/11.
The next building victim.
So that's just
was
ridiculous.
the
But that's
Pentagon.
Kyle Dunnigan for you.
They just got the
That's good. They can catch the rest on it.
Yeah. Now, yeah, check out Kyle Dunnigan. I love comedy. I love comedians. I love finding new comedians. And before we go here, I want to talk to you quick about what have been some of your favorite comedy specials lately. You watched Callan. Callan's was pretty good.
I thought Callan's was really good.
I thought Callan did great when he was talking about the giraffe at the end. Killer.
Yes.
Killer.
In his Sun Talk, I thought the Sun Talk was funny.
Yes.
Because, not being willing to take an honest reflection of your kids and parents was obviously all a joke, but it was hilarious.
Yeah,
It was really good.
Callan was surprisingly a lot. It was I shouldn't say better than I thought it was going to be. I haven't seen him do a lot of stand up.
It's a new PR for him.
Yeah.
It's a PR for him.
Yeah, he
It's
crushed it.
clearly-
He did
it's his
really
best one,
well.
right?
Yeah.
And it made me think too, like, as a man going into his 50s, still getting better at his art.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's a piece of me that sort of hopes that as I go into my 50s, I'll still be getting better at whatever it is I'm trying to do in life.
Did you watch Sam Morril on?
I haven't seen
He's funny.
Okay.
I didn't know anything about him.
Uh-huh.
He's actually partners with Mark Norman on a podcast.
Yeah.
And
Getting
his
drunk or something like that.
yeah, his thing just came up like Sam Morril, whatever, and he was awesome. He did a great job.
I know I'm late to the party, but I finally watched the Shane Gillis.
Shane Gillis is awesome.
He killed it.
He's phenomenal.
You know, that whole thing he went through with kind of losing his mind and saying some rowdy shit on that podcast about the Asian people.
Yeah.
It really shaded my view on him. And it's taken a year or two just to sort of see what he's said and done since then. And I've really watched him I've been pretty critical. I've had a really
You
critical
mean the
eye
reason
with
he
him.
got kicked off of Saturday Night Live?
Yeah. He made some Asian jokes on his podcast that just in a vacuum by themselves, real shitty.
Sort of like Tony Hinchcliffe.
Yeah.
Like what Tony Hinchcliffe did was pretty crazy, but he didn't.
It's in a vacuum. When you don't look at
it's in a
everything
vacuum.
around it.
If you watch the whole set before it, if you were there that night, you probably wouldn't think it was bad. But if you weren't there that night and just see the clip, you'll be like, oh my God, Tony Hinchcliffe's such a bad person. To me, I think Tony Hinchcliffe is one of the most brilliant comedians out there.
Okay, so let me just take this to the next evolution, though, right? So this killed his career with SNL, right? Killed his career. My God, what a gift from
God.
You could not do Gillis and Keeves. What he's doing on Gillis and Keeves crushes anything I've ever seen on SNL.
Yeah, so he's got his own skit show.
Ever. And
if you're not watching that, you should watch that. It's called Gilly and Keys.
It's incredible. It's the funniest skit shit I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah.
And so the fact that he lost that enormous opportunity only made something better for him. So there's a message there, Chris.
Yeah. Well, a lot of times, a lot of people realize they wake up in a life that they never, it's not what they wanted to really do, but it's what they thought they wanted to do. Like, so Shane Gillis thought, like, I'll get on Saturday Night Live. It'll be great. And he got there and he got fired, and he's like, this sucks, but it wasn't what he was really meant to do.
There's no way he would have been this funny on SNL. No way we'd have known how talented he is just on SNL.
And you know what? You could take that there's a lot of things. Like, a lot of times opportunities are going to come your way and you're not going to know. You're going to think it's the worst thing that ever happened to you. But I used to work as a writer for the WWE, and I got fired, and I was really sad. Like, Stephanie McMahon fired me to my face, like, hey, we don't need you anymore. You're not doing a good job, kind of thing, whatever. There's a lot of different circumstances surrounding that. But when that happened, I thought that was the worst thing that could possibly ever happen to me. And I remember, like, leaving that day and feeling like just really shitty and flying back to LA going, like, what am I going to do with my life? And I went and made Bigger, Stronger, Faster. That's the way things work out in life, you know? And was I meant to be a writer for, the WWE, No, it wasn't what I was meant to be. And so, you get over it, you move on. And, like, does it suck to get fired? Of course it sucks to get fired. I cried because, like, it was a dream job for me to get, brought into WWE by Stephanie McMahon, get hired by her, get, like, it was great. It was so cool. And then next thing you know, 6 months later or whatever, I'm getting fired, And I didn't even really do anything wrong, to be honest. Like, all what they want there is a certain type of person who'll just, like, listen and do whatever they say. And if you don't fit that mold, then I just didn't fit. And I didn't fit what they wanted, because they already had some writers that were, like, considered, like, senior writers, and they were, like, over me, right? So since there was this hierarchy, it was like, well, I was never going to come in, and even if I pitched the best idea, I was never going to go be on their level. Like, they were going to always look down, on me. And the guys that were writing there was, like, 2 guys that were writing there that were there for, like, years and years, and everybody else was like a revolving door.
Right.
So I just realized, like, hey, this isn't for me.
Right.
And sometimes, the worst things that we think happen to us in life are just the blessings. All right, buddy.
Okay.
We're out.